Well, you're off to your very first appointment with a paediatrician. Now, this may raise some questions on what you need to bring, how you can prepare, and what will actually happen at the appointment itself. So I've got Betty with me here today to tell me everything that we need to know. So Betty, tell me, what do we need to prepare then for our very first paediatrician appointment?
So for your first appointment, you don't need to prepare a lot really. It's really a getting to know you appointment, and all we want to do is have a chat and see what your concerns are. So the main thing to prepare is a list of all your concerns and questions. Write them down because you might forget to ask some of the questions that you wanted to.
Nothing's worse when you head to the doctor and you go, I forgot to ask about that one.
Yeah, and obviously prepare your child as well. Give them a little bit of a heads up. You don't have to do it too long before the appointment, but maybe a couple of days before, and just let them know what to expect. Generally for the first appointments, we'll have a chat with you and your child and ask about things like their birth and your pregnancy and their first milestones. So it's really important if you could bring your red book as well, because that has a lot of useful information in there about their birth weight and their milestones and sometimes the immunizations as well. And make sure that you bring along any reports that you might have from any specialists or previous pediatricians or letters that you want to share.
And even like school reports and things like that as well?
Yes, that's really important. So with children who, especially school-age children, if your concerns are around concerns with behavior or learning issues, it's important to have a report from the school, or a letter from the teacher or your day caregiver about what are the concerns that they see, because they obviously spend a lot of time with your child, most of the working day, so they will have a different insight, a different perspective into some of the concerns that you might raise.
And you know, a lot of us, I know when I had to take my son to a paediatrician, I had to dig out that red book, so don't ever get rid of that red book, you need it. And I also had to bring out my baby book that I'd written all the milestones in, like when they first rolled over, when they first started walking, when they first started talking. So it's really important if you're watching, you've got a newborn, is to document all of that stuff for the future, because you never know when you might need that information.
Yeah, it's a lovely record. So every newborn in Queensland will have a personal health record with a red book, and that's the place where you can document everything. You can write down the milestones, or you can write down hospital visits, and it has a good record of their weights, so then we can see where they're trending on the charts.
Love it. So how can parents prepare their child? You did touch on it, but obviously older children, little ones, it's easy, it's just another appointment. With older children, they can get a little bit anxious, or, what's it all going to be about? So
yeah, it is quite daunting, I think, your first appointment for the parents as well as the child.
I think it's the parent more so than the child. So how can we prepare the parents then, right?
Well, the parents will be prepared anyway. I'm sure they will get all their documents out and try and bring as much as they can to that appointment. For the child, it depends on the age of the child. So with the younger children, bring out your toys. So bring out your doctor set and kit and play with the stethoscope and tell them the doctor will listen to their tummy. They've usually had their GP do lots of visits with them before, so they'll be aware. Some of the children might be anxious that it may be painful procedures involved in their first visit, and that's unusual, so commonly they won't be. So you can sort of reassure them that a lot of what we're going to be doing is talking and chatting about what their interests are, what's going on at school, what's going on at home, and making sure that they're growing and developing normally.
And that's another point too. There's a lot of talking between the parents and yourself, so bring some activities or a couple of little things, or some snacks.
Yeah, bring some distractions with you, some toys or snacks, because sometimes there may be a little bit of a wait before the appointment, depending on how busy the clinic is that day. So bring something that will keep the child distracted. And it's also useful to have a distraction when we're examining the child, because sometimes if you can distract them with a toy, then it makes it easier for us to sort of have a listen to their chest or do the things we need to do.
Yeah, because you are really busy people. I think people forget paediatricians are on call overnight for any newborns that have been born and there's a concern about them. So, things happen just on the spur of the moment sometimes.
Yeah, things can change, yeah.
So what's the first appointment like then? It's a lot of talking, it's a lot of going through things.
Yeah, so the first appointment, we want to get to know you and your child a little bit more. So we're asking about your pregnancy and what your and what the birth was like, the birth weight, and what the early development and the milestones were like. We're also asking questions about diet and eating habits, sleep habits. We also also ask about poos and wees. That's mandatory for all pediatricians. And we'll also ask a little bit about what's going on at school, and if you have any concerns at school or any concerns have been raised, and we'll ask to see any reports that you might have. So bring along any reports that you might have, or if your child has seen any other therapists or specialists, you can bring those reports in as well.
Love it. So there you have it. That's your first appointment with a paediatrician in a nutshell. So make sure you prepare any questions you may have in advance and follow all of those great tips. But if you are after a fantastic paediatrician, definitely get in touch with the Townsville Paediatrics Clinic today.